All right, guys, joining me at this time is Joshua Elder. Josh has a super fight coming up. It is a 165-pound no-gi super fight at Submission Pro Tours Elite Series 13. How you doing today, Josh?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Tell me a little bit how your matchup came about.
So it was Julio from the promoter of the actual Submission Pro Tour. He reached out to me about competing on the 17th. And, I let him know that I was available and to set up the match. And then, we went from there.
Yeah, excellent. Are you used to competing in the super fight, format, or are you more of like an IBJJF guy?
Well, this would be like my first sub only tournament or match.
Nice.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been doing this my whole life, competing from wrestling and, fighting MMA in the octagon to, Naga tournaments and everything in that kind of realm.
Just trying to stay active as much as possible.
Oh, yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your fight career.
So my fight career, I started wrestling in 4th grade because I was actually bullied. So my dad put me into wrestling and kind of a way to defend myself and kind of fight back from the bullies. And then that kind of transpired into jiu-jitsu, and then which transpired into competing in the octagon. And now we're pretty much just circling back to, competing and getting my steps and my hours back in on the mat.
That's
to
important.
Compete at a much higher level.
Now, for your jiu-jitsu, do you train mostly the traditional style in a gi or more no-gi stuff, or a little bit of blend of both?
No, I'm definitely more of a no-gi type of guy just from my wrestling background.
Mm-hmm.
And for the traditional style of jiu-jitsu, that's really not how I practice. I like to consider myself in a way of a dog, because we're going to go in there, we're going to fight it out, I'm not going to be a nice guy, and I don't expect my opponent to be a nice guy.
Yeah, and then too, the grips for no-gi, they transition well into MMA.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's just the lapels and the gi. I personally don't like people grabbing onto my clothing and that sorts of things.
No, for sure. Now, you said this is your first super fight?
Yes.
What belt are you?
So I'm actually a blue belt.
Okay.
But I started practicing jiu-jitsu when I was about 14, and I've kind of just done it on and off. So I've never really done a full stint to really have a real belt progression.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, especially when you train no-gi. I know a lot of traditional schools, my professor, he pretty much only pays attention to what happens in your gi. So if you're only training no-gi, it's kind of hard to progress.
Yeah.
Tell me, 70 pounds? How is that? 165. How is that weight cut for you?
So I started about 175, and I just had to change my diet a little bit, really.
Yeah,
and then
I
I only had one real or 2 days of really cutting, which was Wednesday and Thursday of this week. So, and that's putting on the suit, running, coming back, taking an Epsom salt bath, things of that sort. But this cut for this match really hasn't put a strain on my body like I've done in previous tournaments and things.
Well, yeah, you said you grew up as a wrestler, so I'm sure the weight cut is no issue for you. You guys literally cut all the time.
Yeah, no, that's bred into me now.
It's all part of your body at this point. Your
body's exactly.
How excited are you to be competing at the Submission Pro Tours Elite Series 13?
Oh, I'm super excited. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm looking at this as more of a stepping stool to my next ventures, because after this match, I want to go for a belt and then transition that into more of MMA and the octagon, and then go for some belts in that, and just pretty much seeing where it takes me.
How old are you?
I'm 21 right now.
Oh, so you're still very young within the sport. You have a lot to go. You have a lot of time ahead of you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I started at a young age, so I would say I'm also young, but I still have a lot of experience under my belt.
Definitely put your time in.
Yeah.
How old were you? Said you were 14 when you first started wrestling?
I was in the 4th grade.
Oh, in the 4th grade.
So I was probably 9 years old, 8
Wow,
years
so
old.
you've been doing it for a while then.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
and everything is just like a natural feel. When I'm
mhm.
flowing and rolling with people, it just feels natural, the movements and everything and that sort.
I bet you that helps a lot, having that wrestling background, being able to rely on it if you need to. I mean, you
Oh
see a
yeah,
lot of guys,
exactly.
especially nowadays in like the newer version of jiu-jitsu, a lot of them like to pull guard and just go for legs, but I'm sure you could add that also into your game, but you have that wrestling in your back pocket, which is also very nice to have.
Oh yeah, to have such a background that I have, and then to have like an arsenal of everything that I can do in a match, and the experience that I have not only from jujitsu or wrestling, but also in the octagon. It all like translates into one like fluid motion.
No, for sure. Tell me a little bit about your wrestling career.
So in high school, I was on the national freestyle and Greco team. So we traveled to Pennsylvania and wrestled the whole East Coast, and it was pretty much like a dual state tournament.
Hmm.
California didn't win, but West Coast is still the best coast.
Exactly. How did you do it, individually?
Individually, I believe I went 4-1, which is still pretty good.
It's pretty good,
Competing
yeah.
against some of the best guys in the country.
And that's the thing too, you know what I mean? Especially when you get into those national ranks, like you are literally competing against the best person in your weight class at every single
Exactly.
match.
And every match is just a dogfight, like I said earlier. Like that's what I was bred up with. Just two people just butting heads and going at it and attacking each other.
Now, how has that experience helped you translate it into jiu-jitsu?
So, well, like jujitsu is more kind of like a fluid flowing type thing,
Hmm.
and not really like punch you in the mouth and take your lunch money type of
Yeah.
style. But and then transitioning from wrestling to jujitsu, I kind of had to find like a balance in between. Where I can still flow and roll and still feel all the movements, but still break guys mentally at the same time, and then break them physically.
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing that strong wrestlers do a lot. They really make you work for it.
Exactly. I'm not gonna bring the tempo down. I'm gonna come out blazing. So
And that's the other thing too. I mean, the gas tank that wrestlers have, it's crazy, especially if you've never dealt with somebody like that, or you've been in that type of situation. It's hard to even fathom what's really going to be thrown at you.
exactly. Like I always tell people, I believe the best base for everything in like the fighting world is wrestling to start, and then building off and branching off into other things.
Well, yeah, I mean, you even see it. It's very evident within the UFC. I think there's only maybe like two or three champions who don't have that strong wrestling pedigree.
Exactly. And it's kind of like a pyramid, where it's like you got wrestling at the bottom, and then you just build everything up to the top,
No,
up
for
to the
sure.
peak.
Now, how's your MMA career going? Have you had fights yet? Are you going to continue to fight?
Yeah.
How's that all working
So
out?
so my MMA career, I was the Panda Cup 155 belt holder.
Wow.
I'm 2-1,
Mhm.
but my loss was from a disqualification. So, pretty much still 2-0 or 3-0, I would like to say. But
What did you learn from your one loss? Don't get
from my one
disqualified.
loss, yeah, yeah, pretty much. But that was actually my first ever like MMA fight, and I
Mhm.
was 14 or 15 at the time. So like you're not allowed to hit in the head, and you can only like neck down. And I was just throwing a little bit too high of punches and connecting like in the neck and in the jaw, and then yeah, one thing led to another, and then the ref just called it after that.
Outside of that, though, you've been very successful.
Oh yes, sir. My match after that, I went against a guy named Zayden Cole and
Mhm.
completely dominated him. And then I went against a Pan Am's champion, actually, James Aguilar, and he was a little bit better on the jiu-jitsu side, but he couldn't really keep up with like my wrestling and my striking and everything of that sorts. So then I actually ended up taking the 155 belt from him.
And that's the best thing about MMA in my mindset, at least. You could have guys who are super good at one thing, but if you can't mix it together all the way, you're going to have a
Exactly.
tough time in there with some really top talent.
I believe like the best people are the ones that can like look at someone and then look at someone else and then pretty much like combine the moves and the skill sets and then take away their mistakes from what they had and then translate that into your own game.
No, for sure. Where do you train at right now?
So I don't really train at like one particular spot. I train here, train there, a little bit of everywhere. But my main person that I train with is Louis Moreno.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much like if Louis wants to train, he hits me up, or if I'm ready to train, I'll hit him up, and we're dogs, so we go at it.
No, for sure. It helps too to cross train. You know what I mean? You can able to pick stuff from each person and really make it into your own game and really evolve your skills that way.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because like I've trained at like Carnage and Orangeville, and then I've trained at Beta, Checkmat, and Folsom. And I've gone down to like the Team Alpha Male a couple of times. But like you said, when you can look around and take things from everywhere, that's what makes you the best competitor, I believe.
You have any fights lined up, MMA fights?
Not as of right now, but definitely. So like I said, I want to win this one, take the belt, and then transition more into MMA.
Makes sense. You're still an amateur, correct?
Yeah.
When you went down to Alpha Male, did you train with any of the pros?
So I've trained with Max Griffin from the UFC. It wasn't at the
Protect your ears from that dude.
He's always sponsoring his CBD line.
Right.
But but that actually wasn't at the Team Alpha Male. That was actually in somebody's just garage. I was invited to go, and it was Louis Moreno, Max Griffin, Berto, I forget his name, I forget his last name, and then Max Griffin's striking coach and me. So, it was close knit. So, and I really am appreciative of the opportunity to get in with a professional, and seeing the difference between the amateur guys that I've seen and then looking at someone, who's signed a contract.
How'd you fare against those guys who have already signed their contracts?
I mean, well, Max is like bigger than I am, so
yeah, a little bit.
I think he fights at like 180. So I think he's cutting down from like 200 when he's ready to fight.
He easily walks around at 200 pounds.
Yeah. But like I'm not saying like he takes it easy or anything, but we go in there and we'll dog it out.
That's good though, and especially getting those looks by those pro guys, it's always just going to continue to elevate your career.
Yeah, and then the day that I met up with Max and his trainer, Max ended up leaving, but his striking coach stayed, and he really taught me a lot about throwing jabs, throwing hooks, just setting it up and setting your game. And I'm like I said, I'm just really appreciative of like them taking the time to do that for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely all about networking. It's a very small community that everyone has around them. And it's really great to have somebody like that in your corner that you could be able to, piece stuff off of.
Right.
Now, for this matchup, do you have any certain game plans you're going to try to follow? Anything you would like to do?
Well, me personally, what they say, like offense wins games, but defense wins championships. I'm more of a defense style. So, I'll more wait for someone and then react off their action.
Yeah.
And then what I like to do is I was more of like a scrambler, like a funky style wrestler. So I like to create scrambles because I know, or I best believe that I'll be able to capitalize off those scrambles. And, people won't really have an idea of what's really going on inside of the scramble.
Now, obviously with your wrestling background, do you tend to stay heavy on top of that, go for the takedown, work your guard?
So my game plan exactly is more like I like to tie up because I was more of a thrower. So I wasn't really a shooter, but like I'll shoot if I need to. Which I mean, most coaches, don't say to do that.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
Got a little
But
judo in your back pocket.
oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I mean, my initial game plan is to see because he's a little bit linkier than I am, a little bit taller. So he's gonna be able to shoot at farther distances. So I want to close the distance between us and keep him in close. So and I think I'll be able to have more of an advantage on the inside than he will if he's more stretching me out and spacing me out.
No, for sure. Now you guys are what, like 2 days away from your matchup? Do you know
tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow. Do you know where on the card you guys are gonna be placed?
So actually, I just found out about an hour ago. We are the second match of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that'll run about like 105 to like 110.
Now, if we aren't in Sacramento, is there a way we can watch it online?
There is a pay-per-view if you go to the Submission Pro Tour website, or if you go to the Submission Pro Tour Instagram page, you will be able to find the pay-per-view link and subscription.
Perfect, man. It definitely seems like a good little matchup for you, and I definitely can't wait to continue to see what you're gonna convey. I mean, I really feel like you have a good head on your shoulders, and you're really gonna push this as far as you can. I don't feel like you're one of those type of guys who's just gonna stop ever.
Nah, like I always say, if you're not shooting for the stars, what's the point of shooting?
Exactly.
So,
we've got to know a little bit about what Josh is like on the mats, but what do you like outside of the gym?
I mean, like I help my father run a business. So, most of my time is pretty much wrapped up working.
What do you guys do?
So I really don't. Sorry?
What do you guys do?
So we clean carpets and windows for like the model homes in Northern California.
Nice. When did you guys start doing that?
So my father started the business about 22 years ago. So, we've made it through the Corona, the 2008 market crash, hard times, but, we're making it through.
No, for sure. Especially like with Corona, being able to work through that. I know a lot of people weren't able to work. So it's got to be very, easy on your mind to not have to worry about that.
Oh, yeah. As long as I get have the flowing residual income coming in, I get to do these things that I like to do, like go out and compete, go out and train, and, things of that sort.
And the good thing about, partially owning the company is you're able to be a little more flexible with your schedule. You know what I mean? If you got to go run up here and train, it's easier for you to do that, I bet.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But, things come up and, work, is the thing that puts the roof over my head and food on my table. So, some things, like if there's like a surprise, not a surprise, but
like a last minute thing.
Yeah, kind of have to drop everything else to go and take care of that.
No, for sure. Hey, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to keep that roof over your head. That's most important at the end of the day. Now, what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I mean, I like to train.
Constantly in the gym. Well, that's just going to make you even better, though.
Oh, yeah, but I've been doing that my whole life, from the time I was a kid, in the gym for hours, hundreds of hours, maybe even thousands of hours I've spent in gyms, from wrestling tournaments to jiu-jitsu tournaments to MMA fights, and all the practices in between.
Yeah, that's super important too.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, I still like to make time for like my friends, like on the weekend maybe, if I have time, really.
Enjoy that nice little California sun you guys got out there.
Oh yeah. Go to the lake, ride some jet skis, hop on the boat.
No, that's definitely. You guys are pretty close to Tahoe, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful lake.
Oh yeah. The cool thing about Tahoe is, like in the summer, it's actually swimmable.
Mm-hmm.
But in the winter, you're really not going in there without getting frostbite. So hypothermia.
Gonna need to wear a wetsuit for that one.
Yeah. Nah, I don't even think a wetsuit would work.
Right, yeah. Sometimes it's just a little too cold. I'm right on the Colorado River, so I understand it. Like once you get into those October, November times, you're like, yeah, we're not going to the river. It's fucking cold.
Yeah, we're not going to Tahoe this time.
For sure, man. Well, I look forward to watching your super fight here tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. Sorry. But I don't want to take much more of your time. I know obviously you're still preparing for that event. But before I let you go, I want to give you an opportunity to give a shout out to your teammates, sponsors, loved ones, anyone that's really helped you along your grappling / MMA journey.
I definitely like to shout out my dad, first of all, for always being there, putting me in for wrestling to help protect myself, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then second, I'd like to thank Louis Moreno.
Yeah.
He's been a big component in my life and competing and training and, getting my headspace right. And then, to everybody that's just been supporting me along the way.
No, for sure. Before you have your next MMA fight, hit me up. We'll definitely do another interview. We'll keep this relationship going, but I definitely feel like your future is bright, man. I can just tell, like, a lot of people don't have the level head that you have at 21.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, for sure, man. Good luck tomorrow, and we'll be speaking soon.
Yeah, we're definitely coming back with the belt, so
Can't wait, man. Can't wait. Thanks for coming on, and yeah, we'll be talking soon, like I said.
Okay, sounds good.